we're talking about, with construction, like going on in New Rochelle and what have you. In Peekskill, we're one of the last strongholds that they just have not taken over and destroyed public housing in
Mm.
Westchester and the Hudson Valley. And it's because we've been organizing, we've been marching, we've been picketing. You mentioned Reverend Al earlier. I had him in Peekskill 4 or 5 times over the years. These folks are determined since 1982 to get rid of public housing. In their words, it's on the main streets when you come into Peekskill, and the first thing people see is those people hanging out. And so the plan was to
Mm.
mass evict, tear the building down, not bring jobs and youth programs to the community. And that's where we came in. And we fought for those things. And we got the Walter Corney Gymnasium built on the property of public housing. We marched, since 82. Then in 1990, another administration came after public housing. When I say came after, they appoint people to the housing board who are hostile to public housing. And all of the policies are geared to trip you up and kick you out. And then they try to turn it into co-op or Hope 6, which they don't have anymore. But these are programs that come and go to replace public housing. Now, currently, our Peekskill mayor, Vivian McKenzie, Black woman Democrat, and the chairwoman of the Peekskill Housing Authority, Jackie Simpkin, Black woman, are trying to give a contract to Wilder Balter Partners. Wilder Balter was given they tried to give him a no-bid multi-million-dollar contract to turn our community center that we marched for, fought for. Myself personally, they arrested or took into custody a dozen times, literally talking at the podium about these issues. So we fought these fights and won, and now they want to take our community center and turn it into a boys and girls club, which means the kids in that poor community won't have access. But this is not about the kids with them. This is about a dirty real estate deal. HUD already came up here and said you can't give $1 million contract to anybody. It has to go to bid. They also told them that there is no Boys and Girls Club plan because you never brought it to us. So now they're regrouping. The mayor and council passed some very complicated resolution this past Monday to try to finagle around HUD regulations and go and still give Wilder Balter this contract. Now, what's really a disgrace, Vivian McKenzie is a woman, African-American woman. Jackie Simpkin is an African-American woman, and they're selling out mostly Black children to the streets. Now, McKenzie's saying, oh, we just want what's best for the kids. But wait a minute. This same community center, you kicked all of the kids out in the community and gave it for over a year, illegally, according to HUD, to the illegal immigrant population. They were in the community center that we fought for, got built, and you put our kids out and put them in there with no staff that works in the community center. They were just given a key and free reign. So this is clearly just a political payoff. Wilder Balter, I don't know these people. I know they build a lot around Westchester County. I know they spread a lot of money around Peekskill to get this contract. And now, you have Black women selling us out.
Solid Brother 1972, the leaders that goes to Jack and Jill and have all these degrees. He said Pataki was governor, Damon. What did he do for Peekskill?
Right.
What did he do, former mayor of Peekskill? You all forgot about that? So I'll let you answer, Brother Darrel.
Well, in 1982, Pataki got elected mayor of Peekskill. He also was elected with two councilmen named Ed Cream and Chuck Miller. They publicly went to the newspapers at the time and said, we want to change the demographics of this community. Bowman Towers, which is the building at the center of this public housing building, is an eyesore, a blight on our community. They didn't say let's uplift or revitalize the community. So it was targeted then. When Pataki became governor of New York State, he did bring jobs to Peekskill. He put the workman's compensation office in Peekskill, and he also brought a lot of jobs to the DMV in Peekskill. Beyond that, there were state money flowing through. There's a couple nonprofits that got money, but even when he was governor, we were still fighting to save public housing in Peekskill.
Right. Well, we fight against Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah, this isn't about that. I mean,
No,
Vivian McKenzie's a Democrat.
What I'm saying is, is the comment that maybe we might be one-sided against Democrats and support Republicans. No, I support policy and I support outcomes. And
I support my community, and I don't
exactly.
If the enemy of that day is a Democrat or Republican, I'm on record. I am on record as getting arrested by Democrats and Republicans.
Exactly.
Just Google it. Just Google it. A lot of people don't have the concept of being loyal to your people first, to your Black people first.
Exactly.
And so when you say to the Democratic Party, we're not against you, we want you to be better. And so, it's like my son. If my son is fighting a crazy hypothetical, if my son is fighting Mike Tyson and I go to my son and say, hey, man, your jab is weak. You got to make it stronger. Does that mean I'm for Mike Tyson? Come on,
exactly.
now. You got to get out of that two-dimensional thinking. It doesn't mean we're for them. We want better Democrats. And in the case of Democrats that are here now, change direction or change leadership. That doesn't mean vote Republican. Sometimes it means that, and sometimes it means primary these do-nothing Democrats with Black skin that you hear them say Israel more than racism, Israel more than gentrification. Nah, man, them days are coming to an end.
He said, does Peekskill have a council where Black churches come together to help fight these issues in the city?
No, they used to be. I mean, I can go back to, again, this struggle started in 82, but through the 90s, you had Mount Lebanon and Mount Olivet, the two biggest Black churches in Peekskill. I had rallies at those churches. I had Calvin Butts come up. I had Al Sharpton come up. I had H. Rat Brown come up. And the pastors were taking their ministry beyond the walls of the church. It's not happening anymore. Vivian McKenzie goes to Mount Lebanon, the current Peekskill mayor, and Jackie Simkin goes to Mount Olivet. And so it just so happens, great question, by the way, is that I'm going to reach out to these pastors and say, look, a lot of people in your congregation live in public housing. Are you going to sit on the sideline and let them displace this community?
All right, solid brother, 1972. I don't know if you're new to this show, but you got to be new to me. I've called out Republicans out on their issue with Israel. I called Democrats out because just as many Democrats get money from AIPAC as Republicans. So let's make that clear. Let's make that clear. Just as many Democrats get money from AIPAC as Republicans. So let's not make it one-sided. Let's call them all out. So so I'm just making it clear. Now, Mike Lawler, I don't know Mike Lawler that well, to be honest with you. I don't know him that well. And I was never a Mondaire Jones fan because he wasn't for Black people. He just looked it. So I'm going to let Darrel talk about what Mike Lawler has done for Peekskill since you asked that question.
All right. Well, first of all, when Mondaire Jones was congressman, I had written a very long letter to the Department of Justice and to HUD outlining the 40 years of disenfranchisement of our community, the Bowman Towers public housing area in Peekskill. Mondaire Jones would not return. I handed this letter to him when he visited Peekskill. This dude turned his back on us. He, like the rest of the Democrats in Westchester, he was going to let them displace mostly people of color, women, mostly women and children. And so when he lost his election, I didn't know Mike Lawler, but I sent the same letters of Mike Lawler, and he called me from his private cell phone, got on the case, wrote letters to HUD. I mentioned earlier that HUD told the Peekskill Housing Authority, these things you're trying to do are not legal. The reason HUD, a regional director who was in charge of New York City Housing Authority, also traveled to Peekskill to meet with me was because Mike Lawler. No, oh my God, but Israel, yo, bro. I mean, we're talking about the public housing, and if the Democrats want our support, then they need to stop attacking us. What are you supposed to do? Support the people who are trying to destroy you?
Yeah, and listen. See, this is when black folks get caught in the matrix, and they get actually stuck because brother don't live in Peekskill, so he can't make outside decisions for what goes on in Peekskill. Wherever he lives at, he can make decisions there, but he can't make decisions for you. Right, and if we're really truly understanding politics, right, it's not about friends or enemies, right?
No,
it's about interests. It's about what your interests are, and this is where black people, and even educated black people who claim to be educated, when they put their party before their interests. See, I'm not impressed with wine and cheese events and Negroes standing around shaking hands and drinking wine. I'm not impressed with that. Not when we have 2% of businesses. Not when we're not employing. Exactly. Not when we're not employing. We don't have actual businesses employing black people. We're the business employing black people.
The Democrats. One of the biggest faults with the Democrats is that the blacks in their administration, and I'm talking like right freaking now, I'm talking about Andy Spanov's administration going back 20 years. You got some of the same freaking Negroes that was in that administration, that was in Latimer administration, and Ken Jenkins. These dudes are getting 2 and 3 freaking pensions, and they're only there for photo ops. They don't use words like racism, jobs for my community. You feel me? Like, let's call it what it is. They're there for a photo op so they can say we got blacks in our administration, and it ain't freaking good enough.
Trey, oh, trying to bring it in. Trey, how can they do that? Maybe privatize center. They said, how can they do that? Wow, maybe it's time to privatize that center for the residents.
What all the ideas here, and thanks for that. Here, the thing about Peekskill, and I'm not exaggerating. In Peekskill, they passed, I don't want to use the N-word, but they passed on anti-N-word laws in Peekskill, because when we were filling up the city council chambers with mostly housing authority residents, which is mostly black women, they brought 30 cops into the council chambers. They literally assigned a unit of 4 cops to stand over me in the podium. I mean, in the audience. If I went up to use the bathroom, they followed me. When I went to the podium to talk about the Kiley Center and the community center, they interrupted and said the new rule is you can only talk about what we put on the agenda, and that ain't on the agenda, and it ain't never going to be on the agenda. I talked about it, and I was arrested for talking. And so it doesn't matter whether we have ideas or not. They're not listening, and they will arrest you for bringing them to them. That's what's going on in Peekskill. Yeah, I'm getting caught up on the comments of Solid Brother 1972. Yeah, I gotta say, bro, I don't know you, but the way you're behaving on this show, there's nothing constructive about it. I mean, what do you really like? What are you here for? Like what do you hear? Like I've been doing live talk radio for 30 years, and I'm just catching up on your comments and your combative. Like, what are you here to contribute? It don't see nothing constructive. If you're here to help uplift black people, we can have that conversation. But if you're here for personal attacks, and I'm looking at the comments like, bro, why are you here?
Exactly. With all his educated, he's a hater.
Yo, solid brother. My name is Darrel Davis. Everything I say and do, my name and face is attached to it. Who the freak is Solid Brother 1972? Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is that? All right. So, if you got the, that's cowardice, my man. That's cowardice to say these things disrespectfully, but you hide in your identity. Now, you're saying you didn't personally attack. I see you talking about, yo, dude, what don't you get? Lawler's your congressman. Yo, dude, what don't you get? That's kind of disrespectful because I answered very clearly that your boy, Mondaire Jones, was going to let them tear down public housing. I gave the same letter to Mike Lawler. He called me personally on his cell phone and got HUD officials up here to say what you're doing is illegal. That's pretty clear.
Exactly. Like I don't know what his brother's purpose is. I really question, a positive question. Does Peekskill have any Black businesses based at all? Is it due to the percentage of Black business ownership?
There's maybe one or two. And Peekskill has a very large Black population. Again, this is all part of the gentrification. There used to be Black bars in Peekskill. Every single one of them was torn down.
Exactly.
Every single one. Every Black business establishment is being torn down or put out of business. Let me just back up a little bit. 1949, Paul Robeson scheduled a...
Stop. See, this is solid, brother. That's the dumb ish. Damon has turned into the Black MAGA. That's the uneducated Black elite ish that we was talking about, and you said you wasn't doing it. You're turning into a troll, brother, and you don't even have the nerve to have your real name up here. That's the sad part about it. Because you said, well, you said disagreements are not disrespect. And then you come back with Damon is the Black MAGA. You're a damn hypocrite. You are a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. Say something disrespectful again, and we're gonna see what's gonna happen. I double dare you. I double dare you. And everybody's watching and seeing you text like an idiot.
And there's people in here with constructive questions that are trying to get real answers. And this dude is filling the feed with personal attacks and sarcasm and,
No, thank you, Margaret. Yeah, please block him. This information is too important. Thank you, sis. Since the pastor said it's a wrap. Pastor told me to put the hand on him.
Yeah, because we got real things to talk about. These personal attacks, like these trolls that don't even use their real names. Exactly. I was trying to make the point in Peekskill that in 1949, our great giant Paul Robeson scheduled a concert in Peekskill against the war, free concert. And before he got there, some whites from Peekskill got on trucks, traveled to the site of the concert, and stoned everybody there. Robeson was turned around at the train and went and sent back home. For those who aren't familiar with Paul Robeson, scholar, valedictorian, law degree, pro football player, lettered in rugby, movie star, concert singer, sang for the royal families of Europe, you name it. Starred in classics as Sanders of the Jungle and The Emperor Jones. Came to Peekskill, tried to kill him. That same mentality is still dominant in Peekskill. Mm-hmm. And so this is what we've been fighting, our very right to even be here. And it's not unique to Peekskill, but it's particularly vicious because, again, they arrest you for talking. They have 30 cops in the council chambers. They passed a no clapping law because myself or one of the other activists or community leaders would get up and speak to the council, the crowd would clap. They outlawed clapping. Peekskill became a worldwide joke. You can Google Peekskill no clapping law, and it'll come up in Australian newspapers. All right. So it's we're in northern Westchester, tucked all the way up in northern corner of Westchester where there's no major media. We're in the woods. We've been threatened by Klan. Skinheads showed up to one of our rallies. So, and this is the North. But here's the thing. We keep winning. We toppled the Democrats. Damon, you remember that struggle because I saw you came to some of our meetings to support us. Got rid of the housing director. We got rid of the Democratic mayor. because we organize and we move with a plan, you know, and it changes everything. And that's the thing. Like we have to organize. We have to organize. We have to run our own candidates. You know, we on this Democratic Party plantation, and you know, I started saying there's two very difficult conversations to have with Black people. One, your Black kids is no Santa Claus, and telling the Black people the Democratic Party don't give shit about you. Two very difficult conversations to have with Black people. We got the way forward. The way forward is backwards. There's a reason they killed Malcolm and Martin, and they don't teach the true history of Harriet and Angela. You know what I'm saying? So I'm rooted in the grassroots, in the movement. Who I support politically is whoever supports me and my people.
Exactly. And we have to start moving. You know, I wrote a book called Emotional Politics, Logical Failure. And I talk about, you know, how the Black struggle has been stripped away. And I talked about it a little earlier in the show too. We have allowed that even reparations don't even mean what it used to mean when we were talking and building on it, you know, because it has got swept up under wokeism,
right?
Which they stole from us, right? They stole the saying from us. White liberals stole the saying, and then they manipulated it into something else that has nothing to do with the Black struggle.
Right.
And
exactly.
now, and they used it to the point that it has no, it lost the meaning in our like, I don't understand how Black people don't see it. They don't see what they've done to us. And whoever, so whatever, talking about Mandami, the only thing Mandami is going to do with people north of New York is increase our property value, because so many people is going to leave New York. Either they're going to go down to Florida or they're going to come upstate. Westchester, Orange, Putnam, Rockland, they're going to come upstate.
They're going to skip Westchester.
No, but they might stay in Westchester, you know, because, you know, Westchester had a name, and look what they do on the White Plains.
But Westchester is expensive. You know, you talk about housing.
No, I'm talking about the money people in New York.
Oh yeah. Right.
New York gonna turn. You're gonna really need Batman. You're gonna really need Batman down there, because it's gonna turn. It's gonna turn into Gotham City. They talking about letting everybody out of jail and all that. I don't understand why they feel that Black people like crime.
You know, because the implication, bro, the implication is that we the criminals and these are our families. That's the implication, although they commit a lot more crime than we do. I remember when Joe Biden was running for president, it occurred to me he hasn't said one thing about police brutality. So let me go to his website and see what his position is. Man, his position basically was white cops have a right to get home safely. In other words, you saying that Black people are killing white cops? That's just not a fact.
Right.
You know? So, yeah.
No, upstate New York is going to increase. Look, I'm in Middletown. I never thought I'd move up here. But after being up here for 7 years, I should have did it a long time ago. I should have did it a long time ago, right? But I mean, and my wife can't get me to come back down to Westchester, only for whatever. I'm be like, yo, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, no, I get that.
You know, but policies is going to make people leave. Black people are already leaving New York because the high prices of homes, the taxes, you know, and as I talked about earlier in the show, it's going to be so dangerous. And my brother Drew McWilliams, who sells real estate, is going to be so dangerous for older Black people to keep their homes because of property taxes.
Right.
You understand? And we lose the generational wealth because the majority of older seniors that lose homes look like us.
Right, right. And what does that say to Democrats that we black people put in office refuse to give us space to teach financial literacy to our people? I mean, we got to lift ourselves out of poverty. We're not asking for the
Hmm.
handout. We're asking for a freaking meeting space. And we're bringing our leaders and scholars and teach financial literacy and how to set up your own businesses and create jobs and all of that. And they won't even provide the space for us to have these meetings. I got commitments from some of the unions in Westchester, electricians,
Right.
teamsters, to come to our community center, bring people into the unions, the housing authority,
Wow.
Jackie Simpkin, black woman chair, and Mayor McKenzie won't provide space for that.
That's
Disgrace.
amazing. That's amazing.
Disgrace.
That's
Uh-huh.
amazing. So, we just have to, I don't like, with the other person talking about black businesses, I'm about to do speak in front of the African American Advisory Board on the crisis of black business in Westchester County. Like, we're only 2%.
Yeah.
We only 2%. The majority of black businesses is in New Rochelle, right? You would think it's in Mount Vernon, but it's not,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because of the high black population, but the majority of black businesses is in New Rochelle, and we're not building generational wealth or businesses that will employ black people.
Right.
And that's going to be a big problem down the line, because AI will be taking some, and they're not going to take all the jobs, but
It's
they're
going
going
to
to
take a
take
good
some
percentage.
jobs. Right. And if we're not training our young people in AI, it's going to be harder for them to get a job. And that's the school system, the school board and the school system that black people vote for. They need to be having these trades, AI technology, blockchain technology. They need to be having those things in high school. So when they come out, they could get jobs. They don't have to go to college and be like Mr. Black Elite and go work for somebody else. They could go work for somebody else. They could work. They could have they could work for somebody, and learn and start and break off and start their own business and employ
And
people. We
and
have to
D,
pivot.
and also on that point, hundreds of millions of dollars of construction all through Westchester County. All right. Where are the black subcontractors? How many black businesses could have been set up if there was some fairness here?
Exactly.
Who's looking out for us, black Democrats? I know when I was housing authority chairman in Peekskill, and they were doing an $8 million renovation, and this is what I saw. I didn't see no black people on that job. So when it was time for these contractors to get paid, and these were big checks, $250,000, 150,000, I didn't sign the checks. These contractors started screaming at me. These unions can get violent, blah, blah, blah. So are you going to sign the check? I said, I'm not going to sign the checks. This was on a Thursday. Monday morning, when I walked down there to see the job, I don't want to steal Red Fox's thunder, but they had enough black people to film a Tarzan movie. So I asked these brothers.
Where did all these black people come
Yeah.
from?
I said, yo, bro, how did you get this job? He says, I was working in Yonkers, and they told me to report up here right away. All right. So it ain't that they can't do it or that we're not there. No one is demanding it. No one is demanding
Exactly.
it.
And these black cities, look, and I tell people, everybody, I think his name, what was the mayor of Atlanta that was over the boom? Jackson. I think his name was Jackson.
Maynard Jackson, was that?
Maynard Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Because of his leadership to make sure that when Atlanta was growing, that black people got those contracts.
That's right.
He created generational wealth and made millionaires, in which Atlanta still have the most black millionaires. And we need black politicians to really just do right. Not worried. Maynard Jackson wasn't worried about what the white folks were saying all around Georgia. He was worried about empowering his people. For some reason, when black politicians get in office, and I love y'all, but y'all work out of a big tent. Black folks put you in, but then when you get in office, you worry about the big tent. Nobody else does that, but nobody else does that for us. And then we think that, oh, well, to pass something for black people is illegal. They didn't have no problem passing the Asian Hate Bill Act. That was just
That
for
came
Asian.
real fast when Hochul got elected. I was listening to it on the radio. It's like, oh, a new anti-bias bill. I said, yeah, she did something for black people already, and it wasn't even for us. No problem.
Exactly, right? And you would think after the Kenneth Chamberlain, after that went worldwide, you would think you would put, well, you know, it's a hate crime if you're a trained law enforcement officer and call a man the N-word and kill him. You would think that's a hate crime. Nobody batted an eye when she didn't charge him with hate crimes.
Right.
So,
no, that's insane.
At the same time, someone put a swastika on a dumpster, and it was standing room only. But they all squeezing, black pastors and everybody, black politicians squeezing in to get into the picture over a dumpster. But a black man was killed and called the N-word, and y'all was ghosts. Couldn't find none of y'all. Wouldn't even return Kenny Chamberlain Jr.'s phone call. Al Sharpton refused to come up to Westchester. Refused to come up. We couldn't even get the National Network. And it was on tape. You couldn't get anything better than that. It was a recording of them, the whole hour-long standoff. So what does that what does that tell black men?
We the hunted and we on our own.
Exactly. Oh, well, they hijacked everything. They hijacked Black Lives Matter. They hijacked the Civil Rights Bill. They hijacked affirmative action. They hijacked DEI. They hijacked everything.
Everything we fought for. First of all, we raised these issues, you know, whether it was the 50s or as soon as we got off the boat, we raised these issues, we fought, we got laws passed, and they all rushed in and benefited from it. And I'm talking about everybody but us.
Right.
Illegal immigrants, undocumented.
Please.
And I'm not calling none of these groups my enemy, but we bled and died and built this country, and we're getting skipped over. And the black Dems ain't saying nothing about it.
Oh, Democrats. The young boy got shot getting off the bus in AOC's district. She didn't say one word, but she flying around in a private jet talking about oligarchy. Make sense.
She's the classic example of someone who got elected, that came from the grassroots, that got seduced by the glitz and glam and the money. Perfect. She's gonna play the game to stay where she's at. She got elected by not playing that game. But now she's gonna play that game. She's gonna talk about the issues. She's gonna vote for funding for Israel. She's gonna play all the games she preached against to stay there. Hey, power does corrupt. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it takes a certain self-love and love of black people to be in Congress, like Ron Dellums and Adam Clayton Powell Jr. and Major Owens. I remember when the Congressional Black Caucus was something. They fought for black people. They marched. They got arrested. They put social legislation forward because they knew poverty didn't produce criminals. It produced poor people. I mean, the crime went hand in hand. But when the Jews got here, when the Irish got here, when the Italians got here, all these organizations today, like the YWCA and the Catholic Charities, they were all created to lift white people out of poverty. Now that it's our turn, what do you get from the Y? A cot. A bed.
Let me tell you something. If Zoran Mandami or the Democrats don't have a black agenda on what they're going to do specifically for Black people, they're not going to get my vote.
Yeah, but let me
It's not
jump in on.
It's not about who's better.
Yeah, and we're not even saying that. I mean, I don't know if you jumped on late regional, Graham, if I'm reading you properly.
Yeah.
But we said earlier that criticizing Democrats does not translate into voting Republican. Sometimes
Right.
it does, but we're saying is we want Democrats that not only will win, but will represent us. And that's not happening right now.
Reginald, I'm not being fooled by white media. I'm on the ground. I see what's going on. As I feed people every month. I give people food. I know what's happening. But I also know as a Black man who's almost 60 years old, there are interests in the Black community that are not being addressed. And giving out free stuff does not make it go away, because they've been offering Black folks free stuff for the last 50 years. And that does not make our condition, it hasn't made Black people's condition better.
It's made it worse because now we only eat if they feed us.
Are you the same person? Because it seems that you get that y'all get on this stuff to want to say this one is better, that one is better, this wasn't a joke. No, I'm not supporting nobody. I'm supporting a Black agenda. What is best for Black America? And if none of them can do Black America, then you're not going to get my vote. Period. And I don't want handouts. I want a hand up.
We only want opportunity. We just want opportunity. We'll do the rest. Black Wall Street wasn't the only one. There was Black townships that were burned to the ground that they don't even talk about anymore.
Exactly. We need free stuff like the Jews. The Jews is 2% of the population and own 10% of all the businesses. They control it. And you're mixing. You almost sound like the other brother. I think he done snuck back in on another name. Well, that's what. Okay, Reginald. Then ask Mandami, what about slavery? Is Mandami willing to pass reparations with the city council? Is Mandami for reparations for Black people? I haven't heard him say it. I know the governor of Maryland vetoed the bill to just apologize for slavery, and he's Black. So what is the Democrats doing about reparations? We had a Black president, and the Democrats controlled the House for 2 years, and nobody brought up reparations. They still trying to pass HR 40 just to study it, and that's been on for like 30 years. HR 40's been written. Are you serious? Are you really serious at this point? No, they're too busy. They're too busy worried about. They're too busy. Well, if we can agree on that, then ain't no need to bring up anybody else. If we agree that Democrats are a joke, that's the end of this conversation. This is what we've been saying all along. So, dude, like we have to push policy. Black America must demand policy, not figureheads. What are you going to do? And that was one of the problems. And that, yeah, I agree. And that was one of the problems with Kamala Harris. She had no Black policy. And she mumbled around on reparations. And then y'all tried to diss Black men like we was just going to vote for somebody just because they Black. We've been through that. Listen, man, I still got I've been through that ride, and I got the Obama t-shirt. You got to do more than that, brother. Well, Jeffries is an APAC puppet. Oh yeah. Just because he doesn't have the power to arrest Netanyahu. Picture him arresting Netanyahu in New York. Picture that in New York. We really need a Black Empire Zone for main streets and most highly Black neighborhoods around the state. Yes, we do. But I mean, it comes with training on economics. It comes from making sure Black folks get the funding. And it comes from politicians that really want to do it. You know, Westchester went from having so many Black businesses, man. My mother used to tell me, man, from Peekskill to 119 in Greenburg, Mount Vernon, you didn't even have to go down to Harlem.
Right. Gentrification, man. Gentrification and Black puppets and, mass evictions of mostly us.
Yeah. Oh, man, it's 8:17, brother. It's time to end the show. But Darrel, man, you're welcome to come on, man. You're welcome to come on anytime, brother. Because
thank you.
AJ's going to be away for a month. So you can come on. We could just kick it.
Shoot me a text. I'll be back anytime.
Yeah. And I want to thank everybody, man. I want to thank the super chats, people that gave to the super chat. I want to thank everybody. And this week, I just got a text that Westchester County does have opportunity zones, and now they're permanent under, I think it came under Trump. Exactly.
Thanks for watching Black Westchester Magazine News, where the truth has no filter and the community comes first. We are the news with the Black point of view. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay informed, empowered, and engaged. Independent Black media matters. And we're just getting started. See you next time.